All right, Aftershocks Tremors, Matt and Chris, we're back with you guys for another episode where we feature some of the best underground hard rock and metal bands across the globe. And today we're going down to Central America. We got from San Jose, Costa Rica, Frankie from Thrash Titans Chemicide. What's up, Frankie? Thanks for joining us. How are you, man?
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Doing all right here, man. With under a little rain, but it's all good. It's all good.
I'm sure you're used to a lot of the rain there. I'm sure. Man.
Yeah. Well, this time of year is when it starts to rain, and it sucks because you wake up and it's raining. You go to bed and it's fucking raining all day. Man. So there's nothing you can do about it, really.
True, man. No, absolutely, man. Well, hey, man, let's get right into it, man. The new album, Common Sense, it's out now on Riptide Records. And man, this is a record that is just simply resonating with thrash fans across the globe, man. I mean, I'm going to say it's by far the best thrash album I've heard all year, hands down. And, I mean, I'll say it again. I really believe that, when I hear this album, I really think that you guys can fill. I feel like there's been a little bit of a void missing since Power Trip has, not been doing anything, obviously, because of what happened to Riley. But man, you guys, I think, could fill that void. I mean, and it's not just me. I'm seeing and hearing nothing but high praise from so many in these metal publications, across the globe, man. So, I mean, talk about, Frankie, what made you or, in the band, I mean, just a bunch of guys from Costa Rica want to really, pick up your instruments and create sort of this modern day classic, thrash sound that's really resonating across the globe right now.
Well, first of all, man, I appreciate it. So I just wanted to say thanks for the words, man, because we really didn't expect any of that to happen when we wrote the album. To be honest, we spent 2 years, man, pretty much locked down, like all of us, man, here at home. So we had plenty of time to I don't know, man, like write down music that that kind of represented what we were feeling at the time, I guess. And when we started to write the album, we wanted to talk about what was happening in the world at the time, I guess. And we was feeling frustrated, man. We was feeling frustrated with what was going on. We had to stop touring our third album because of, the whole situation, what was happening. And I'm just glad that the album has had so many positive reviews, to be honest, because we did not expect any of that to happen. And it's been praised by a lot of people. And to be compared with Power Trip, I love Power Trip, man. It's one of my favorite bands. Well, at least one of the newer bands that, really, really caught my attention. So it's an honor to be compared to to those guys. And Rip Riley, man, I talked to him through Instagram a few times, so it was a big loss.
Sure, man. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. It's huge. And, and the reason why, I guess kind of compared you guys to a Power Trip is, I mean, because you really, I look at, for instance, songs on this record, Lunar Eternity, Barred Existence, those two just come to mind. They really had that sort of almost like that classic sort of crossover sound, especially Barred Existence, and which I think is the best song on the album, by the way. It's a great song. And that's the thing about your guys' sound. I mean, you've got no shortage of these, what they call money riffs, right? I mean, you've got several of them in the same song. I mean, most of these riffs can be like the lead riffs of their own songs. So, I mean, when you're writing, I mean, how did you go about choosing what riffs to use as sort of the featured, main riff? Because when you have so many, really great riffs to choose from, man, I really do.
Well, the thing is that the way that we play this song is that when I was writing the all the rhythm sections and the structure of the song, I tried to always think of what's coming next, I guess, and I try to focus on one song at a time. I'm not trying to focus on multiple songs at a time because it kind of I'm sort of a scatterbrain. So if I try to focus on multiple things at a time, I just can't do it. That multitasking thing is not for me. So when the riffs come out, I just try to stick them all together and see how it sound. And last year was tough because, 2 years ago it was tough because I couldn't actually go and play with the guys at at band practice and whatnot. So I had to think of how everything will sound without me actually listening to the drums and listening to how the lead guitar will sound. So I was just thinking of, all right, so this section will come out here and here and here, and I'll see if I can work it out. And when things started to open up a little bit more, the first thing I did is I called the drummer. I was like, dude, we need to practice the songs and see if we can, put them together, just, glue them all together and see if they're going to work all right. And, luckily they did. So yeah. I feel very happy that, that the riffs came out the way they did, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean, they came out great, man. And the other thing, that you just kind of mentioned, you alluded to before was, about your lyrical content. I mean, so it's pretty noticeable, obviously, from the album and song titles from the band over the years, is that you guys, you definitely focus your lyrical content on what seems like a lot of human rights issues and sort of injustices that you sort of perceive around the world. I guess my question, I mean, are those lyrics and topics that you're writing about, are those really specific to what's happening, in and around Costa Rica, or is it what maybe more here are seen in the media globally as well as social media, or is it a little bit of both? I mean, just talk a little bit about your lyrical inspiration.
So the way that I always will try to focus my lyrics on is that here in Costa Rica, we see a lot of corruption and a lot of different topics that actually kind of replicate a lot in Latin America, right? So Latin America, it's I guess it's a place where a lot of these countries can actually be really successful. They can really be countries that thrive, and they could be like, what would you call it, like world, I guess, I don't know, man, like really powerful countries, right? But unfortunately, their corruption and the way that they're managed is that that's the reason why we're in the position that we're in right now. So you see countries like Brazil, you see countries like Mexico, you see countries like I don't know, Argentina, to give you an example. These countries are countries that they could be powerful countries, having all the resources that we have, when it comes to exports and imports and all that, man. And unfortunately, they're not. And a lot of these governments have killed their own people when they're trying to rise up to, defend their rights. And this album, and Inequality, and this album in particular, we try to focus on what was happening here in Costa Rica as well, and also what we saw in the U.S. To give you an example, racism. We saw bigotry. We see a lot of things going on in our country, and it seems like it's happening all around the world. So for us Latin Americans, for us Costa Ricans, I think it's important to give outsiders the perspective of how we see things, and also how things are happening in our country. So with songs like Common Sense, with songs like Disposable, some of that is happening here, but at the same time it happens everywhere, right? When you think of yourself, you work 40 hours, man, a week, and sometimes you have people that have 2 or 3 jobs a day, man, which you can barely make a living on a daily basis. So I think that happens to us here, but it happens to you too in the States, man. So I see people working and working and working. They don't even get to enjoy their lives. They just they're just pieces of clay made into a fucking game. And at the end, if you die or something happens to you, nobody gives a fuck. You're just a number for the system, and then you get thrown away, and then you get replaced with somebody else. So
yeah, true.
Right on, man. Yeah. Well, dude, I'm always curious with thrash bands, and especially bands like yours that are kind of socially conscious. Who is the audience? Because here, and I'll just tell you, and you probably know this, in the States, thrash is an old person's game. Thrash is old fans responding to old bands. It's all Exodus and Overkill and blah blah blah. I don't imagine that's who you really want to reach as much as finding new younger audiences. So for you, who is the audience? Is it the old heads, or is it just new school, or do you try to reach both, or what?
Well, we try to reach both, to be honest, but at the same time, all thrash metalheads are more focused on keeping the flame alive for bands like Exodus and Testament, and they just don't want to let them go sometimes, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Overkill, Exodus, Testament, all these, I mean, I love these bands, don't get me wrong, I mean, they're my influence, but at the same time, all these bands are just, going away, but they don't want to let them go, and my main focus is to reach out younger audiences, and the reason why is because these audiences are coming to this shitty world, to be honest. You see these kids, they're focused on their cell phones, they're focused on their computers. I mean, they just, they're glued to them, right? So I just want them to, when they read the lyrics and they hear the music, they just can at least get some of that into their brains and their subconscious, and start acting different. I'm not saying that we're gonna change the world or anything, because I'm not reinventing the wheel here. And
Right.
some of the things that I've heard so far with the albums, some reviews have said that we are not innovating, and I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to innovate anything. I'm just, I'm just trying to put music out there for people to enjoy, and for the lyrics to spread some message of positivity, and for them to I guess, think of what's happening and try to make a change. That's it. So with the younger artists, it's a little bit easier. With the old metalheads, they just enjoy it, and they already know what's happening because they already lived after the 80s, man. So
sure. Yeah. Well, you know what though? Yes and no, because I'll say this, and Matt and I have talked about this with numerous bands on the show. Testament aside, all the other thrash bands, the old thrash bands, I don't think they honor their responsibility to the scene. I think that they all should take out younger bands, and they just don't. I think they should take out a band like Chemicide or a band like Havoc, or and not that Havoc's young at this point. They're starting to become an old band too, but you know what I'm saying. There's in the old days weird. They did. In the old days, they took them out. Now it's like, well, there's some agent that's saying, well, this band's worth 400 tickets and this one's worth 30, and it doesn't end up building the scene. Do you see that?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. I don't like to diss on anybody, but yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it happening because we've been told the exact same thing. Because especially for bands like us that we're from Central America, it's even harder, man. Because the thing is that for us to go to the States and play shows, man, we need special visas and special fucking paperwork to get into the States to actually play shows. We can go and visit, but if we get caught playing, we get deported. So we have to kind of stay away from the U.S., which is a huge market for all of us. And just to give you an example, like you see Ozzy took Metallica on tour when they were with the first, and I know Metallica was a big band at the time. Well, kind of big at the time, but at the same time, like Ozzy gave them the platform to actually show the music to bigger audiences. So I honestly don't understand why especially like Metallica or Megadeth, why can't they bring smaller bands like us? I'm not saying that they have to take us into consideration, but like there's other bands like they could actually make a decent appearance. Like there's a band that I love from I think they're from Jersey, Paralysis. It's like a crossover band that I like. Why is it that like I don't know, Exodus or Overkill are not taking these guys out on tour, right? Like to me is a no-brainer because you're bringing up the new generation to like new audiences, but they just don't want to, they don't want to give a piece of the pie to anybody else, man. They just want to keep it for themselves. So there's nothing really we can do about it.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. And that's the worst part about it is that I'm 53 years old, so I came up in that scene, and I can tell you, used to go to clubs, and all these bands that were big would be bringing up bands, and there was most of the bands that I discovered when I discovered them were not selling. They were Testament, they were Exodus, they were Overkill, but it was before they were,
a household name.
Yeah, and you would see them on a triple show at a club with Slayer and Metallica or something, and it was like that's how you learned it. And it's so, like you said, it's so hard for you guys to say, well, you guys can't sell X number of tickets, so we can't bring you to the States. Well, that's bullshit, because how are you going to get to that level if they don't give you any appreciation for just musical integrity?
And that's the thing, man. Like right now, all the tours that we do is on our own, right? We put out our music, we buy our own tickets, we buy our we pay for our own hotels, we pay for our own vans to tour. So, and it's all right. I mean, I don't mind doing that because it's fun, right? I mean, you go out and meet people, you go out and see different cultures, and you play for people that you've never seen before. So it's cool. But I just feel that these bands could really make an impact with newer bands. But the thing is that also, if you think about it, maybe it might not be the band itself, because they're ran by big ass music companies and distributor and distribution labels that don't really care about none of that. Because you see, for example, let's say Metallica are their own thing, right? So they don't really need anybody. So they could actually bring somebody. But if you think about somebody like Testament, they're part of, I think it's Nuclear Blast. So if Nuclear Blast doesn't want anybody on that show that is not part of Nuclear Blast, they can't bring them. Yeah. That's the thing. Even if they wanted to, they can't, because they're not part of the same label, or they're not part of the same structure that they've built for them. So, in the long run, might not even be the band that doesn't want people to join their shows. It could be somebody else that doesn't let them.
Yeah. No, you're right. And speaking of, newer thrash bands, Frankie, I mean, one thing me and Chris both talk about is that this classic thrash sound, although like you said, it was obviously created here in the States. These days, the bands to me that are doing it the best are from outside of the States. I mean, you guys obviously one of the examples. Another band is Crysis from Spain, another great band.
I like Crysis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so to me, to us, I mean, you guys are really the ones that are leading this sort of new wave of thrash metal. I know metal's always obviously been huge in Central and just Latin America in general. But I mean, talk a little bit, I guess, about the scene, the Costa Rican sort of Central American scene, because we don't usually typically see, I mean, many Central American bands, coming out and resonating with audiences across the globe. We definitely see it obviously in South America, but not too often in Central America. So talk a little bit about the scene down there.
Well, actually, the scene in Costa Rica, Costa Rica has a ton of bands, man. For, in Central America specifically, I guess Costa Rica will be like the main point that people will actually come out and play, because the thing is that most of the bands from Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, they actually want to come out here and play, because they say it's like sort of I guess the states of Central America, you know what I mean? So we have the biggest market, but at the same time we're the smallest country of all, right? So we have a ton of bands coming out. We had a few bands in the past few years that actually play Vacuum, play Bloodstock. We had this band Neuma, Set of Emptiness, Corpse Garden. There's a whole bunch of bands actually doing things good in the metal scene. So our metal scene has actually grown a lot. The thing is that we're a very small country, so it's not enough for us to actually be somebody here or play shows here to actually make a living. So like I have friends from a band called Howler, another band called Age of the Wolf. These bands are actually going out on tour with us, like, to promote their music outside of Costa Rica, because unfortunately we can play as many shows. Like, for example, we played this month alone like six or seven shows, and it's not enough, right? For us to actually make it worth it, we have to come out. We play Nicaragua. We're actually going to Colombia next month, so we have to actually go out of Costa Rica to the bigger audiences, and the bigger audiences are either in South America or North America. So we have to either go to Mexico, go to Canada, or go to the States. And if we go to South, we got to go Colombia, Argentina, or Brazil. There's no other way around. So people in Central America love music, and they are actually supporting the scene a lot. They buy our shirts, they buy our merch, they buy our CDs. But the only problem is that we're not a big country to actually support the scene. You know what I mean? So that's the only issue that we see.
Yeah, no, that's difficult. But the one thing that you guys have done well, other than obviously didn't really putting out some great music, is you've done a great job promoting yourselves, to the point where you're getting noticed by, obviously people like us and a lot of people outside of even here. I mean, I saw that, you guys were mentioned in Metal Hammer, I believe in UK.
Yeah.
Also in publications in like Japan and Turkey. I mean, so you guys have done a great job of getting your music. I mean, how have you been able to do that, to get your music and your band heard and noticed in all these different countries?
Well, it's been tough, man, but I gotta say that honestly, it's been a joint effort with the labels that we're working with, like Rip Right. They put the record out in Canada, the US, and other parts of the world. Then we're working with Concreto Records, which is a Mexican label that is working with us in all Latin America. So they've been putting out, they've done an excellent job with promoting our music. They sent the records out before even it came out to, different media outlets that has helped us promote our music. We got Marquee Records in Brazil doing the same thing. We got Ragnarok doing the same thing for us in Germany. So I guess the best thing that's happened to us right now is the alliances that we've been able to build, right? So these guys have been promoting our music for, I guess, 3 months before even the record came out. So they sent out records out to everybody that they could. And the good thing is that the album actually was well received. So they actually been talking really nice things about the album, because if it would have been the other way around, it would have sucked. So these guys have made a great thing for us. And I guess they work with Against PR and also with Soundblast Media in Argentina. And these guys they've done a hell of a job promoting the record, honestly. And all this interviews with you guys and has helped us out a lot, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. Well, just getting back to the music too real quick, I want to just mention, I mean, I wish my Spanish comprehension was much better than it is, because I know you guys have a really cool short 30+ minute sort of documentary I know on YouTube about the making of Common Sense. Talk a little bit about that documentary, and just kind of explain it for people like us who are non-Spanish speaking, because it seemed like it was a pretty cool little documentary that was put together.
Yeah, we wanted to do it in English, to be honest, but the thing is that not all the band speaks fluent English, and it was
Sure.
it was hard. And the thing is that putting subtitles in the video is expensive, so
Sure,
we had to stay away from it. The documentary was actually that something that I've done, that I wanted to do for a long time, to be honest. I've always seen documentaries like the Black Album that it takes a whole year into Metallica. Exodus just put out one. I've seen the ones from Sepultura, which is one of my biggest influences. So I've always wanted to do something like that actually bring people into the studio with a band. So I told one of my best friends that we could do that. He actually recorded our video for Bard Existence. And what we thought is that we should start doing the whole documentary as soon as we get a new drummer for the band. So we started actually doing the documentary in around November 2020.
Okay.
We got our new drummer, and we started doing little shots and whatnot about how is it to be in the studio with us. So how is it to record the songs? How how the process of getting a new drummer was. So to give you a quick overview, the drums were recorded in one single day in 6.5 hours. Our drummer sat down for 6.5 hours to do the whole the 9 tracks of the album, and it was physically and mentally tiring, because he had to sit down and do the songs over and over and over and over again until we had him right. And the thing is that I write this song, so I was like, yo, you got to do this fill this way or this way. He was like, yeah, we planned this a certain way, but it came out a different way. So
okay,
it's it is what it is, right? So and then we started doing the rhythm section for guitars. I record all the guitars for the album, at least the rhythm section, and it took him about 10 hours to do that in a day. Okay. So we kind of go through all that. It was we took about a month to do the whole recording. It was 4 weekends that we did to do the whole album.
Okay.
And because we were under the clock, man, to be honest. We were supposed to get the record done in November, and we was actually in September last year.
Okay.
We were already in October. We had nothing. So we had to so we told our labels, like, yo, we're taking a little longer to do this, but it's gonna be worth it. So it's something that was well received. The documentary was actually it was really enjoyed by people. They told us that they've never seen that before here in Costa Rica, at least. Okay. And it was kind of groundbreaking for him. So it was groundbreaking for us as well. So I think it kind of panned out.
Nice.
No doubt, man. Well, and the other thing too with the recording, did you not work with Martin from Destruction on this record?
Yes, that's right, man.
And what did he bring to the table that you didn't already have?
So the thing is this, man. We the whole thing, how it came out is that when we were thinking about doing the record, there's a guy in for Concreto Records. His name is Quechol. Quechol is the owner and the head and just he runs Concreto, right? He had worked with Martin before and with different bands. He actually has another band called Bark, which is like rock and roll, heavy thrash metal band. It's a weird thing, but it sounds awesome. He's like, yo, you guys got to work with this guy. You got to work with this guy. You got to work with this guy. And I really didn't know if I could actually pay him, to be honest, because he's a well-known producer, and he was the tour manager and sound manager for Destruction and Floods and Adjustment and all these bands up in Europe, man. I was like, sure. I don't know if I have the budget for that. And all of a sudden, he sends me a text. He's like, yo, I've heard your music and I really love it. I would love to collaborate with you. Let's work something out. So we made a special arrangement. He actually brought a lot of things to the table. So I sent him the demos. I was like, yo, this is what we're going to do. He's like, already have the sound down. Let me just work on it. How would you guys like the sound? So I was like, let's get something like KSAD type thing, like nice. Horoscope vibes on the drums and the bass, and I don't know, like a kind of a Black Album as far as the voice goes. It's like I got it down. So I just we recorded the whole thing in about a month, and I sent it to him. I think it was November 30th last year, and in about a week or so, he was like, "Yo, I got the first mix, man. You guys want to listen to it?" I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah." He sent it. I listened to it. I was like, this just a few tweaks that we got to do here and there. And second mix, that was it, man. It didn't take us more than 2 mixes to get the whole thing down. But the thing is that since he's been working with so many bands in the past, in the past few years, and now he's the lead guitarist for Destruction, and he's worked with Nervosa and all these bands, and Crypta and Entratil and whatnot. He already knows what we want to sound. So it was a pretty easy, a pretty easy collaboration for him and for us. And he brought that crunchy sound of the guitars. He was like, "Yo, I got the tone perfect for you." Like, what he asked us what kind of gear we had here at home. So he's like, "We have this gear and this gear." And he's like, "Okay, I will make something that you guys can replicate when you guys are playing live. So that way, when you guys play live, you always have the same sound." So that chunky guitar sound and that bass and, the way that the drums sound is all because of him, to be honest.
Nice.
No question. Well, he did a great job, man. There's no doubt about that. It sounds awesome.
Thanks, man.
Just one last thing, and it's really not music based, but it's just something that I love that you guys are doing. You guys is the album cover as well as your merch stuff is so old school, but cool. There's a million bands that try it and they're not good at it. They try to look old school and it just doesn't. You guys' shit just looks old school, but cool, man. So who does that? Is that somebody in the band, or do you guys have an art guy, or how does that happen?
So it depends. We've worked, so the artwork for this album specifically, we worked it out with a friend of ours. He actually went to college with our lead guitarist. His name is Pablo Munoz. He actually did the cover for this album, which, turned out to be, it blew our minds, man, to be honest. We had the idea of doing this cover like this. Our lead guitarist actually went to graphic design school. So he did like a sort of a sketch of what we wanted to look at. How we wanted to look, and Pablo just took it to a different level, man. He's a 3D artist that's worked with Microsoft and big ass companies, and he just took it to another level, to be honest. And as far as the t-shirts go and like flyers and all of that, we work with a Costa Rican artist called David Cuero, and also our lead guitarist does some of the shirts as well. David, he's made a ton of shirts. Actually, one of our best sellers has been the Tied Down t-shirt, which is the shirt that we worked in. It's a single that we put out 2 years ago. It's a cover of Negative Approaches, Tied Down, and he did an amazing job. We gave him the idea, so he's been working with us for all this year. And the latest T-shirt, if I'm not mistaken, was the Bard Existence t-shirt that we put out in 2 colors, yellow and black, and that was actually done by our lead guitarist. So we work with a compound of artists, and it's a collaborative situation. So we're really lucky to have really talented artists working with us, man. And David and Pablo, they've done amazing jobs for us, to be honest.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Well, dude, everything about this release is an amazing job. It's one of my favorites as well. Matt likes it as album of the year. I'm kind of with them, although I would put this maybe 1A with the new Insight record, which is another phenomenal fucking killer record. But people definitely need to check this out. It is Chemicide. The album is called Common Sense. And Frankie, where should we tell people to go to keep up with you and the band and eventually shows and all that stuff?
Well, you guys can always go to the good thing of being Chemicide is there's no other band called Chemicide in the world.
Right.
So it's a very lucky situation for us. So if you go to Instagram and you put Chemicide, you're gonna get us. If you go to Facebook, you put Chemicide, you're gonna get us. If you want to get the record out, you can either go to Chemicide at .bandcamp.com, or you can go to Rip Right's website. You can go to Concreto's website, and you can get the record out as well. And if you want to just get us on tour, just Chemicide at Hotmail. So. It's the easiest thing of being named Chemicide, man. There's nobody else like us.
Nice.
I agree.
Well, one more time, the name of the album is Common Sense. It is Chemicide. And Frankie, thanks so much for joining us here on Aftershocks.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this type of interviews, and it was a blast, to be honest, man. Thanks so much.
When it's time to rock, it's time to tune in to Crash Course Radio. Featuring the very best of the heavier music, From Slayer to Clutch to Fear Factory, it's all in one place, Crash Course Radio. To tune into Crash Course Radio, simply visit www.cmsradio.net. You can also tune in on the CMS Network app by opening the app, clicking the musical notes at the top right corner, and selecting Crash Course Radio from our stations. All the best heavy music is there, so you should be too. Ditch the commercial radio and make Crash Course Radio your everyday station.